Hello, welcome to I am Jen Wilson, the Healing Rebel podcast. I am very delighted that I found Louise. We had a little bit of an adventure finding each other today because Louise got the bus here and unfortunately her phone was not connecting to the
Wi-Fi.
signal. So I didn't know which bus you got or which
I'm
bus
not
stop.
very techie, and I was going between one phone and another thinking, oh help.
And I was running about Springburn like Annika Rice going, she's got to be here somewhere. Louise, where are you? But we found each other thanks to McDonald's and their free Wi-Fi.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, I've never been in that McDonald's. I don't even think I've been in to use the toilet. So anyway, we have Louise here, Louise McDonald of Golden Voices.
Golden Key Voices.
Golden
Glasgow.
Key Voices, please. Sorry. I will put it properly in the show notes.
Yeah.
You are here. So I am delighted that you're here. We've only met very recently.
Yes.
Through the infamous Glasgow Girls Club, like many of my guests have been. And when I listened to you sort of sharing about what it was that you do and just the approach that you take from it, it's like, I need to speak to Louise more.
Fantastic.
And a great way to have more conversations is to come on the podcast and then be able to do that here. So thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to be your guest.
My pleasure, my pleasure. What does Golden Key Voices mean to you?
Well, I chose the name because I was looking for a name that expressed the possibilities that we have when we open a door to release old beliefs and go through a new door, try something new, and find out that your voice can heal no matter what you've been through. Because I myself healed after throat surgery many years ago, and it was thyroid surgery I had in 2006, and I got my voice back after total voice loss to singing at the high professional level and being able to teach and being able to help others to have their voices back, either after voice loss through surgery or COVID, post-COVID, all sorts of situations. And I thought, what could express what I'm doing already? And I had a little painting, which I don't think you've seen, which I'll send you a copy of, which it was a print that a friend of mine had made called The Key to Success and Happiness. And it was a golden key. And I thought I'd really like to incorporate that. And then I came up with Golden Key Voices because there's always an opportunity to sing, whether people have been told they can't sing, they're not allowed to sing because they think they're out of tune. Really, they just haven't been given the right tools, because it's about listening, starting with 2 notes, then 3, then 4, and adding if people don't have the confidence to sing at all. And then at the opposite extreme, Golden Key Voices, the name opens up the possibility for maybe older women who are losing the opportunity to be within their communities because they can't sing the way they used to, and they think, well, if I'm not in that section of the choir, I'm missing my friends. And very often they were becoming a bit depressed. And so Golden Key Voices expresses, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can get your voice back, your confidence back with the right tools. And I like the idea of gold as a spiritual color that encompasses all of our being as well. So it's the idea that we are spiritual beings on a human journey, and that the voice is something we can't touch, and it comes through us. So the idea of gold is very present as a spiritual element, and represents the love of God. It represents spirit, source, whatever you call it, and that's what I always want to bring to people, is that love of my heart, that compassion for people. So Golden Key Voices is about all of that and more for all abilities. So it does encompass a lot, doesn't it?
It does encompass a lot, yeah. There's a lot there to talk about, which I'm delighted about. So you talk about people getting their voice back.
Yes.
But there are also people who have maybe never found their voice in the first place because, like
Yes.
you said, some people are told you're toned. I mean, I'm sure somebody told me that when I was younger. And I remember lying in bed one night with my headphones on, singing to Whitney Houston. Now, there was
Yes.
not a chance in hell I was even going to hit a remote note. My mum came up and she's like, I thought somebody was being murdered in here because that noise is horrific. Will you please stop?
Oh,
But I still will sing in the car, but I would never sing in front of other
it only
people.
takes a comment, and people think they're being funny,
Mhm.
and they think they're being light-hearted about it by telling somebody to not sing for whatever reason, and they make a joke like that. But it's not a joke to you because your voice is so personal, and it's very hard to detach your voice from who you are because we use it
Mhm.
for communication all the time, and singing is even more vulnerable. Really, we're allowing ourselves to be more vulnerable by singing in front of
Mhm.
anyone. And so if you've been told that you're not allowed to sing or to be quiet, it can have an effect on your confidence in other areas of life. And the methodology that I learned was based on a Hungarian composer called Kodai. And we learned, as soon as I learned how to use that for children, I knew that I could adapt it for adults as well.
Mhm.
And that's what I've done. I've had quite a few adults who've come wanting to learn to sing who were very out of tune, didn't know if the notes were going up or down. I don't really want to tell their stories, which without their permission.
Yeah,
So
of
maybe
course.
one day I'll get their permission and share their stories. But for them, it was a victory. For each of those people, one has joined a choir, one was singing with me in tune after about 18 months because they did their practice in between. And if you do a little bit of practice in between, then it works.
And that's what it's always about. Like whether it's about singing
Yes,
or playing the piano or
yes,
even doing movement,
yes,
it's about what you do in the in-betweens, not just about what you do in
yes. It's
class.
forming a habit.
Mhm.
And knowing that you can ask questions and that questions are welcomed if you're not sure about something. Um, so that's also an important factor. And if I know the answer, great. And if I don't, I'll try and find out for you.
Yeah. And there's so many health benefits to singing. Like we were speaking
Yes.
before about how it can improve the vagal tone. And I know my grandpa had a pulmonary embolism. Is that how you?
I'm not sure.
He had a blood clot in his lung.
Yes.
And he had rejoined the choir at his church after
Yes.
that, and it really helped strengthen his lungs and really
Yes.
helped him get through that because they told him
Yes.
initially that he wouldn't be able to sing again because of this, and he was just kind of like
I
a bit
think.
like me. I'll see about that, and it did him the world of good, but it wasn't. So there was the singing element that he was able to go out, but it was being part of the community.
That's
It was being
the most important
yeah.
part. That's why people go and join choirs for community. But it does have huge health benefits, like you're saying, for your grandpa, which is amazing. And I think the medical profession are beginning to catch up now on the health benefits of singing. There's a fantastic project in Glasgow called the Chainsaw Project, I think it's called. It's called Sing to Breathe, and they help people with all sorts of lung conditions, um, from pulmonary fibrosis through to lung cancer, to come and sing in a group. And it's fantastic. So I did some training with them quite recently, and it was fantastic. And they have received funding because they can prove the benefits week in and week out. They're showing what's possible, that people are coming off inhalers, using them less initially. So people with asthma, another lung condition as well, are able to sing much more freely. They're able to sing for longer. They start with short phrases, and then they introduce longer phrases, and it's fantastic what's possible. And with a good warm up in a choir or in a small group, because those are small groups. And I will send you the name of that in case
Yep.
anybody listening is interested for themselves or for a relative. And it's completely possible to strengthen your lungs and to strengthen the muscles around the lungs and the whole body by breathing well.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking as well, that's going to help you regulate your nervous system because most people are chronically bad breathers.
Yes.
A lot of people are like when I talk in class, I'm always reminding people to breathe, and it's usually because I've noticed myself not breathing.
Mm.
It's like, remember to exhale, remember to exhale. Are you
Yes.
holding your breath again?
Yes.
And everybody kind of giggles and goes, oh, yeah.
Breathe out to breathe in.
Oh, I've done it again. And I'm like, we all do it, but that's why we have that constant reminder. But if you're singing, then you're doing it unconsciously because
well, your body uses up the air, and then it will automatically take in the breath
on the
that it
rebound.
needs.
Yeah.
So that's very useful for people with lung conditions or other health conditions, is to remember to breathe out first. And then your body will just have that reflex to breathe in automatically. So it's useful for all circumstances.
I remember reading something in one of the breath books, and they were talking about decades ago that physiotherapists used to go into emphysema wards and teach people, and it was the exhale that they would teach them.
Yes.
And they don't do that. Like my gran had emphysema, and when the physiotherapist was coming round, they just kept like putting her upside down and like hitting her back to try and clear her lungs. But I was like,
there is. I mean,
that's
people
what you
still
do.
People still do that if they need their lungs cleared, but they do it along with singing and breathing now as well, because some people do need that type of treatment as well. But they're varying the way they do it now, and they're learning more and more about how to approach people without
no, they
thumping.
definitely didn't give her any other breathing exercises to do at all through the remainder of her life. But
I know that's the sad thing, that people can benefit so much. Maybe they didn't in the past, but they can benefit from working in groups. And I think you have the social aspect, you have community, and you're not alone. People come into these groups and they know that they're not alone in their conditions, because it might be the first time that they have gone out of the house in a week, or these might be the only people that they speak to in a week. So that's also a very important aspect of breathing to sing in these community groups. The chain gang. It's called. It's the chain gang.
The chain gang.
Yes.
Right. So we will put the information for that into the show notes as well, in case anybody wants to check that out.
And also just what we were saying about the health benefits for your mental health. It's so beneficial singing in community, because you're not only stimulating the vagus nerve, which you had mentioned, you're also releasing hormones, endorphins, and the bonding hormones, which mothers and babies have as well. So it's a situation that people can really benefit from.
Yeah, and I mean, up until not that long ago, people would do that in church.
Yes.
Because church was very, very popular, and a big part of church in most services is singing.
Yes.
But people don't go to church anymore, and so therefore they've lost some of that community as well as the co-singing, co-regulation, and it's just. But then you're here to create a new form of church.
Well, I suppose you could say it's a new form of community. And I think, people can still go to church and still do this. They can do whatever suits them in whatever combination, church chanting, whatever tradition they come from, or not, and come to these workshops, be in community, sing together, learn how to really, what I do is I give people the tools to take back out to their choir or singing group, or singing at home if they just want to sing at home, or singing in a band. I work with singer-songwriters as well, work with all sorts of people, from toddlers all the way up to people in their 80s.
Yeah, and I noticed that the workshops that you've got, the Monday night workshops that you've got, each have a theme.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a bit more about the themes that you've got?
Yes, well, I think you like the first one, Jen. The first theme is posture.
I like all of them. I was like, oh, I want to come to these.
So we have 5 sessions this time from February up till June, and they're all on a Monday evening at the same time, starting at 6 o'clock till 7, so people can come after work. And the theme of the first workshop is posture, because if we're able to create a posture that's lifted and open, so you can sing up and open from the heart, you are benefiting yourself in so many ways, because you can drop really low into the body to breathe well, so you can take the breath much lower into the lungs, but you're oxygenating your whole body from top to bottom. It's very energizing. So we have posture, and we have the tongue and the position of the tongue and how important that is for tongue release, because sound can't be made freely if the tongue is pulling back, which is mostly why people can't reach the top notes with ease. is because they have root tongue tension. And the tongue is a big muscle that comes down to about 2/3 of the way down the neck. So we need to be able to release it with ease. So I use a mixture of exercises for that as well. So posture, the difference that makes to breathing, and then the tongue, and then the jaw. So we are isolating, but then seeing the whole body is connected. And then what else are we doing? The lifting of the soft palate in the back of the mouth as well. So we yawn in the inside to lift that, but we need to have the other elements. It's useful if they're in place first.
Yep.
So that the tongue is relaxed while we're yawning inside to create space for the back of the throat to lift up. And the last theme is how we can use consonants well in our songs, because people often think they'll save the breath if they hold the consonants back, and if they're drawing back, you can't really hear words. So if the consonants are clear and moving with ease, like whee into the vowels, like this, that's how I always think of it, like whee, like this. But strong consonants give you clarity, and they give you better purchase, which is a good old-fashioned word for the breath. So all of these workshops have these 5 themes, and we work with breathing as well. So the workshops start with either a singing game or a round, but we can do a round as well as a singing game. And it means that people are doing a bit of clapping and tapping and swapping places, and it creates laughter and ease. And I think that eases the nervous system.
Absolutely,
People are to have some laughter and fun when you come in. And then we have the middle section, which is very much about breathing, posture, and adding on various elements as we go. And I use a methodology called Feldenkrais as well. And I've been taking part in classes for a very long time. So I use some of the exercises that I've learned, which are very gentle, which really do make a big difference. So we're not, we're using the muscles with ease. We're opening up in the right places. So that's another tool that I bring to it. And what were we saying there?
We were talking about the different themes of no, that's absolutely fine. We were talking about the different themes of the workshops and how they all interlink with each other to help the overall ability picture, to be able to sing.
Yes. So each workshop has a theme, and they're all connected. So if you miss one, you can come to another. We'll repeat these themes, and I may add as I go along, because we started the workshops last June, and then we only really started the series in October, and then December, January. So we're now getting to a stage where I can work on themes and take people through, so it can be much more beneficial to take part in all of them. But if you miss one, you can come to the next series where I will repeat themes. And it's also a learning process for me, because I was asked to do these workshops to help. There was one friend, I was out socially with a group of friends, and she said, I can't reach the high notes anymore, and I can't sing beyond an E flat in the middle of her voice, in the upper middle. And she used to be in the first sopranos, and she had a really high soprano voice. And I wasn't going to say anything, because I was there as the friend, a friend among this group, and I wasn't there as a singing teacher. And then she said she'd had this exercise suggested and it didn't work. And I thought, well, I'll just say it now. I said, well, that's because of this, and this. Here's what you need to do, this, and this. And she said, oh, would you help me? Could you run a workshop? And I said, yes. And the others all said, can I come? Can I come? And I thought, there is a need here for this. That's when I became aware that there really is a need, and that women are afraid to say, I can't do this anymore, or this is difficult, because they're not being given solutions. And I worked with my lovely colleague, Polly Beck, on the first workshop, and she could see that there was a need as well, and that it's difficult to say, I need help sometimes with my voice or with any aspect.
With any aspect of life, I think.
Yes, exactly. So these workshops are set up particularly for voices as they change through either post-childbirth. So postpartum voices can change. Not everyone's does, but sometimes there can be noticeable changes. And right through to particularly perimenopause, menopause and beyond, where voices are continuously changing. So the workshops are set up to give tools to help women to sing with ease in the range that they had before. It might not be exactly the same. So for example, somebody might have been a very high soprano and then they can still be in the sopranos, but not the first sopranos. They might be in the second sopranos and they're still delighted with that because they weren't really singing at all, or they were singing in a much lower range, but they've discovered their range and then they're back to meeting their friends again in that same section of a choir. So whether it's a community choir or church choir, any type of choir, an auditioned choir, some choirs are quite adventurous in the repertoire and they have commissions sometimes. I've noticed that in some choirs. They commission composers to write, and it depends how the composer writes, how well they know voices.
Yeah.
So they're being asked quite a lot. It's being asked of them. So they need tools and to be able to say, you're in a safe place. So in the workshops, they come to a safe place. You're safe to not know how to fix your voice. It's not even about fixing anything. It's about a gradual process and just having curiosity to say, what would happen if I tried this exercise in this setting at the workshop, and what would happen if I tried that at home and made a commitment to try it for 5 minutes a day? And then what if I tried to breathe really low and drop the lower abdominal muscles, release them low and release the pelvic floor muscles, and then breathe out? What will happen to my voice if I can feel that ease? Because if you're releasing the area around the pelvic floor, you're releasing the jaw as well. The jaw and the pelvis are connected, so you're releasing so much by breathing well. So it's just so beneficial to go to a safe place. So the workshops are a safe, nurturing place for any woman to come along, and no matter whether you've just begun singing, or you've sung for years, or you're a complete beginner, then this could be
a judgment-free zone.
It's a judgment-free zone where you're safe to explore.
Yep.
And you'll be placed beside more experienced singers, so that always helps. There's a range of experience within each group, and I think that's very helpful for people who haven't sung before or who feel embarrassed to sing out, to be placed among people, because you gradually learn to listen to people at either side, and you pick up from the energy of other people and the energy in the group. But it's a lovely group socially, and it's just an hour, which I think is beneficial. Because it's not too long. It seems to be just baby bear's porridge.
The sweet spot. There's so much to unpack there. So I'm just going to blurt a few things out and then we can dabble in. So when you said about how some women postpartum, their voices change, I wonder how many of them have had birth trauma.
Yes.
And which of those are impacted. The other thing is about how the thyroid obviously releases and controls a lot of hormones for women. And that's right over the vocal cords, the thyroid sits. So I'm like, how do hormones impact all of this? And then there was something else.
Hugely. Do you want me to start? Where do you want me to start?
Let's start with the hormones, and then we can go back to the birth trauma and other traumas. And how's that?
Yes. So hormonally, we're changing constantly, but with changes and surges of hormones and lowering levels of estrogen affect the voice, but progesterone also affects the voice as well. And then androgens come in later in life, and that causes voices to lower. But the changing levels of hormones have a huge impact. It was discovered that the cells, through looking at this under a microscope, that the cells in the vagina are the same as the cells in the larynx, which is not surprising when you look at the structure of both. They look very similar. And as there is atrophy in the muscles because of the hormonal changes, then this affects various parts of our voices, or of our bodies, that are drying out, including the areas around the vocal cords as well can become drier because the mucous membrane is also changing. So it depends what tools women are using. Not everybody can take HRT, which can help. I take omega-7, which helps a lot as well, and some women find that helps with their voices as well. It's a particular make I take. So there are solutions, but as the hormones are changing, voices are changing as well. So we need to really take care of how we use our voices. Perhaps we can't sing for as long as before, and that's okay. We need to be sensitive to the adrenaline levels that can change if you have a thyroid that's sensitive, and to always be regulating your nervous system. Breathing for singing is fantastic because you're regulating your nervous system already by dropping right down into your body and connecting lower into the body. So the hormonal changes have a huge impact on many,
Mhm.
many women's voices, and they just want to give up. But there are solutions.
Yeah, that was the other thing that when you said, I was like, well, we need to talk about that dropping into your body and relaxing the pelvic floor, because
Yes.
there's a lot of women do not know how to relax their pelvic floor, and they've maybe been coming to Pilates, or they've gone to physio and been told to do Kegel exercises or something, and then they're trying to tighten an already tight
Yes.
vagina,
Yes.
and then wondering why they're still having incontinence issues, but nobody's ever taught them how to relax. And I was watching a podcast yesterday with two women who are in America, and they're women's health, like physical therapists.
Yes.
And they were talking about they do a lot of internal massage. And I just thought, I don't know if I know anybody in Scotland that would allow anybody to do that. And maybe that's just, nobody's ever asked me the question if they could, and I've never asked. Like, I'm not trained in that, and I don't know. I know people that have done pelvic health training, but I don't think they've ever been taught internal massage.
Yeah.
And when I was saying, my partner Chris, he's a sports therapist, and I was asking him if he had like been taught that or ever done it, and he said no. But when he's Polish, and when he was played handball like professionally, and one of his teammates had really bad back pain, and when he went to a physio, the physio went in through the rectum and massaged the pelvic floor, and that completely released his back pain. And he was like, amazing. But again, this is one of these taboo subjects.
It's
So
taboo
people
and
are
it's sensitive.
oh my goodness, you're not doing that, because obviously there's a high risk. People have been sexually assaulted, or for people to abuse that situation.
So you need to feel very, very safe. I've only heard of one woman who has been to somebody for pelvic floor internal massage, and she said it did help. But it's not commonly known that you can do that. And probably very few are trained to do that. And as you say, there are sensitive issues around abuse or traumatic birth or all sorts of issues. So by releasing, at the workshops, I don't know who's been through any experience, so I'm very aware that there could be women there who have experienced abuse or they need trauma sensitive language, so that they do what they're comfortable with as well. So that's how I work in the workshops, is to say you have an option here, but the further you release, you don't have to release. For example, if women have had a cesarean section and they feel they don't have sensation there, so they can't feel the pelvic floor release or do anything, and I'll say, well, just see what you can feel very gently further back near the anus, and see if you can feel the sensations there instead. And that's very often more successful. But it depends who you're working with, what they're prepared to tell you. But I think slowly, gently, if you're able to say, you do what works for you at a workshop. But if there are women who do need specific help, there are people who are specialised as well who can take it further. And I was very comforted to hear a pelvic floor specialist at the Scottish Pause Summit that I attended recently, and she was working in the same way, where you release the lower abdomen, drop the pelvic floor down as you're breathing in, and then as you're breathing out, the pelvic floor is engaging very gently, and that's how I work with singing as well. Now, if you have, and I do say to people, if you have released the lower abdominal area, you will have released the pelvic floor, but not to the extent that you can, perhaps not fully. You can take it further, but it's a choice. So it's good to give options.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's an element of building confidence for people as
Yes,
well, because like, if
yes,
I let go of this pelvic floor, I might pee myself.
yes. And I do say to women as well, if you do feel sensitive about trying it, in case that happens, then just release the lower abdominal area, and you've already released it to a certain extent. But there were a couple of women at the last workshop who were a bit worried that that might happen, and they said, "Oh no, it didn't happen. It was amazing, and it really helped." So it's just taking a risk to trust your body slowly and gently to release.
Hmm.
And if you're very present, if you suddenly feel uncomfortable, then you wouldn't do anything unless you were comfortable with it. But you're in a place where you're safe and you can run to the loo, and it's only women who
Yeah,
are there. So it's a
yeah,
safe place to try something. But I was happy to see that the women who thought that this might happen, it didn't happen.
yeah. That's even trying to get people to let the lower belly relax,
Yes,
because
yes.
societally women are not allowed to have round
No,
bellies. We've got to
no.
have pulled in and flat. And because I've taught Pilates for so long, it was only when I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease that I realised how much I walked about braced all the time,
Yes,
pulling that in.
yes.
And I'm like, no wonder my organs are not happy, because they've
Mm,
had no
mm.
space to be able to
Yes,
move. And
yes.
then because I'm locked in here, then my diaphragm, I'm not able to
It's not
breathe
free to
properly.
release
So my
downwards as you breathe
diaphragm's
in.
not coming down. I'm not getting any
Yes.
movement in my ribs.
Mm.
So then my ribs are restricted, then my
Yes.
breathing's restricted.
Yes.
And then I'm just living in essentially fight and flight,
Yes.
because
Yes.
my body thinks something's wrong because I'm so
You're
constricted.
waiting for something
And
to
it's
happen.
like,
Mm.
how do we soften? How do we soften? And it did take me, even though I'm very body aware,
Yes.
it took me ages to be able to do that. But because I then had to learn that for myself, it's easier for me to teach other people and to
Yes.
see when other people are not doing it, because I know what it's like to have not done it, not been able to do it myself, like
Mm.
not had
Mm.
just had that societal, but I need to hold myself in. What
Yes.
if somebody thinks I don't have a flat stomach? I
I know,
don't
it's so
actually,
silly,
but
isn't it? I always encourage women to rejoice in their bodies as they are, to have body confidence in the one-to-one lessons, and sometimes in the workshops as well. I do a pretend catwalk when I'm walking up and down and turning to the pretend camera as well, and making a wee pout, because that's actually there's method in my madness, because if
okay.
you're pouting, you're keeping the lips soft as well and increasing the vocal tract as well for sound to be produced.
Yeah.
So it's about rejoicing in the body that we've been given and not trying to be thin, because women's bodies often do change during menopause. And because our bodies are trying to get just a little bit more estrogen from the fat cells, there's a tiny amount in each fat cell, and it's producing a lot more fat in order to try and get that little bit of estrogen that it
Hmm.
can from the cells. So it's very often, it's just a result of the aging process. And there are other factors that can help as well. But the first step is self-acceptance before you then work with nutrition and exercise. Because women can be too frightened to even go to a class because they don't want to be judged for their shape or size. And so it's very important that women come forward just as they are. And certainly in the workshops that I'm running, that we run as a group, there is space to just be you, to allow your body to drop down, so that we're working with the posture, opening so that you can sing up and open from the heart, and taking a breath that's expansive. Now, this is a very important point. We also we live in a culture where we're told to hold everything in. So the internal organs are being squashed and people breathe like this in a
Yeah.
panicky way. And instead, if you reverse that and think of abundant breath, and think of the idea of abundance that's available to us all around us. Think of how trees breathe. I have a tree that breathes, I'm sure it near me down by the river. And I watch as the wind moves, the branches move up. And as the wind comes, the branches move down.
Mhm.
And it just moves like the rib cage, like a breath.
Yeah.
And I talk to that tree.
Lovely.
I must go and film it one day and
Yeah,
show my
yeah,
students.
definitely.
So yes, it's about creating space
Hmm.
um, for the organs to have space, and thinking of abundant breath, and that goes against what we lived through during COVID as well, where there was tightness in the muscles, so much fear, which causes tightness, and limited breath. And the idea was we're limited. So in fact, we have abundant breath available to us in the
Yeah.
6 places where the lungs expand. So I teach people where the lungs are expanding in those 6 places and how to ease into their bodies.
Yeah. And even that practice in itself is going to make you physically stronger, because you're
Yes.
then working the intercostal muscles in between the ribs.
Yes,
You're working your postural muscles, you're working
Yes.
your abdomen, as
Yes.
well as your diaphragm and your pelvic floor,
Yes.
and all the other diaphragms within the body.
It's so healthy for you.
Like, it's the healthiest thing that you could do.
Yes. It is.
And it's joyful, and you're in community, and
Yes.
you're toning your vagus nerve. Tick, tick, tick,
There
tick.
are so
They should be
many benefits.
prescribing this in the hospital
Well,
for
sometimes they are.
everybody.
There is social prescribing now for singing, for instance, at the Chain Gang or various other groups where people go and it's suggested to them that they go and take part in the singing group for mental health as
Yeah.
well as for physical health.
The next time I speak to my consultant, I'm like, I want a social prescription, please.
I'll need to register.
So we've talked about like the diaphragm and the pelvic floor and how this all helps. We've talked about potentially finding a physiotherapist who can do an internal massage for you if you are struggling with those kind of issues.
With pain.
Especially if you feel like you're really tight.
Mm-hmm.
I also believe that if you work up top, so if you're working the diaphragm and you're working the vocal cords, that in turn will eventually help the pelvic floor, because they all go in sync with each other. So if you're tightening one, you're tightening them all.
Yes.
And if you can relax in one, you'll be able to relax in them all. It might just be a wee while for the sequence.
Yes. I do work with a sequence that helps women. I've adapted the sequence that I learned because I find that the most important part is to drop first and breathe out.
Yep.
Drop and a pause. It's a delicious moment of pausing. Drop, pause, release some more. So it's and some. Drop and some right down into the pelvic floor. And by releasing, you're giving space to the internal organs and for the diaphragm to lower and then to rise gently. And we were always taught as singers to place your hand on your diaphragm, but in fact the diaphragm has no nerve ending, so we can't feel it, but we can feel the effect of it moving under the rib cage, and we can feel the solar plexus, the big muscle where the rib cage splays outwards, the front of your body. We can feel that leaning outwards as well. So we work with airflow and resistance to calm and ease the body. When you think of how the heartbeat works, it's budum, budum, pause. There's always a natural pause. There's activity and pause. There's release. And it's the same with singing. We breathe in, extend, and breathe out. And then when you drop down, pause. And there's a way of using this method so that if you have a quick breath to take in, you're not suddenly lifting up into the upper body and locking the rib cage. You are still dropping down, but that's a bit further on in the sequence, and it's not in this particular series of workshops. It's too early for that, so we'll come to that later.
Get the basics right.
Yes, exactly, exactly, and enjoy practicing those because they make a difference already.
And also, I'm just thinking when you're doing, when you're kind of creating this internal pump, that's then not going to help your lymphatic system as well. So it's helping your body's natural detoxification, because there's behind that solar plexus, there's the cisterna chyli, which is like the main junction point for the lymph, and it comes up your legs through your abdomen to come up to be drained off at the terminus point. And if this is all constricted, that's going to restrict your lymph flow. So you've just added in lymph flow to your
flow as well. Yes.
To the other benefits of singing.
It's very much about flow. And I always speak about the muscles flowing. People speak about breath control, and I don't use the word control. I use the word flow.
Yep.
And that way you're using a language of ease as well. But there is also the same if you have a stringed instrument. If there isn't the correct amount of tension, then you can't pluck that string to make music. And it's the same with singing and breathing. We just need to flow till you reach just the right level of tension and then release again.
Yep.
So it's a balance of both. Flow, flow, flow.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I remember when you first met, you said you were an opera singer.
Yes, yes.
How did you get into that?
Well, I grew up singing. I'm from a big family, and we were a bit like the Von Trapp
I was
family.
just going to ask. Did you have a Julie Andrews teaching you how to sing on the hills?
We just always sang together at home and played instruments. And it was a noisy household, as you can imagine. And we sang together, and we sang in church, we sang at home, we sang outside, we sang at family parties, we just sang everywhere we could. And then I just loved singing. And my mum went out and found a choir for me when I was 16. I was doing art classes, and she said, there's a lady that takes a choir down the road, and some of the neighbours' children are in it. Would you like to join us? Well, I'd love that. And that was the start for me. And we were taken to help us to prepare to sing at a music festival, and we were doing, there's a lot of this going on in Scotland where young people can learn songs and present them to an audience, and they get an adjudication, and you just keep learning how to present songs in public. And there was a lovely lady called Agnes Duncan. We went to her house to help prepare, and she said to me, this could be your profession. And at that moment, I knew that this was what I wanted to do and nothing else. Now, my singing teacher says, unless it's the only thing you want to do, don't go into it as a profession, because it's a hard profession. And it's challenging, and it's wonderful, it's glorious, and it's so deeply satisfying. And at that moment, I knew that's what I wanted to do. But it took quite a few years of finishing my degree first, and then studying with a teacher in Glasgow, then studying in London, and yeah, that's what I wanted to do, because I felt I had such a love in my heart to communicate through song, and that was my passion.
Amazing to be able to take that passion and make it your career, because so often it's a small community, a small network of ability to make money from it.
Yes.
And to be able to make it livable.
It wasn't even so much that, it was that nobody in my family had ever done this before. So it was quite rebellious to do this, because I was studying primary teaching, and I left in order to, I love children and I still work with children, but being a classroom teacher for me was not my vocation. It was to be a singer and also to teach in harmony with being a professional performer. So yes, it became my profession because I had an inner knowing. I had this deep, deep trust. I thought, I've been given a gift. And I call it, I just said, well, I've been given a gift from God to use. That's the language that I had at the time, and I still have. And I felt that I wanted to use it to give joy and to share what was in my heart, to share. Sometimes people can be really moved by listening to a singer, not knowing why, because it touches something. And somehow I knew that I had something to give. And I had a singing teacher in Glasgow who really encouraged me and said, yes, this is what you'll do, and here are the next steps. So I went to the audition at Scottish Opera. And I had a different pathway, but at that time, most students now go through the conservatoires, but at that time you could work with a private teacher and go and audition, and possibly you still can. But I went into the audition, and there was a panel of adjudicators from the opera company sitting at the opposite end of a big hall, and they started speaking to me, and I thought, I can't speak to them from over there. So I just walked over and shook hands with them all and said hello. One Louise and they all stood up. I think they were quite surprised. So I enjoyed the auditions because I hadn't been through a system that told me that it should be difficult.
Yeah, or that it should be nerve-wracking.
It should be nerve-wracking. I was nervous. I had adrenaline, but it was also a pleasure because I was well prepared. And I think being prepared is the secret, isn't it?
Yeah, and then when you've got that knowing in your heart as well, there would be something in you going, well, if these people don't want me, somebody else will, because
I didn't even think that.
Didn't I? Because you just know that this is the next step.
But I wasn't even thinking of an outcome. I was just there to sing that day. To be honest, I really was not thinking.
Because you were reading with joy and love.
I was, and I was very present. So I wasn't thinking, oh, I have to get this job or this will be my job. I was just very present, and I was going to sing, give a performance to these people.
Yeah.
That was it.
I love that. There's almost an innocence around that because there isn't that pressure for the outcome.
Yes. Yes, it was. I would say I was very naive, and not naive.
Innocent.
I was prepared. It was an innocence. It was an innocence.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what that deep knowing is, that we have a connection to our spirit that knows how to guide us at all times, that our spiritual value, knowing that the outcome is not what matters, it's being present and giving each time again and again and again and again. And whatever is asked of you leading up to that goes into the singing. So it's a distilled suffering, distilled love that goes into whatever you perform.
And the doors open.
The doors
and this
open.
Is the way you go.
That's it, because you're not afraid of. I didn't occur to me that this might not be my pathway. I wasn't afraid of rejection. Because I probably was later on when I was doing more auditions further down the line. It was more difficult, but at the start, I just felt quite sure that this was my pathway.
This was your path, and this was the way.
Yeah.
Before we started talking, we were talking about how singing can help release trauma, and that you don't need to. You personally don't need to know what that is, because just through the action, it can help. Can you talk a wee bit more about that?
I think coming into a group to sing, certainly as a workshop leader, I don't know who's been through what particular experience. So it's different from working one-to-one, where somebody might choose or might not choose to share something of the trauma that they've experienced. So I can speak to you about one-to-one and how that differs slightly from a group setting. So everywhere, and whether it's one-to-one or in a group setting, it's safety that matters, and really listening to what that person is telling me about their voice and their experience, and observing their posture, observing where they're holding tensions, hearing them, and listening to where the sound is restricted. And I don't necessarily need to know what has gone on. I had a singer who came to me once who had the trauma of being turned upside down as a child and bashed in the back to get a sweet out because she couldn't breathe. She was choking. Lessons that I had with her on releasing her tongue were quite profound for her. And I'm not in contact with her, but I don't think she would mind me sharing this, because she said she was always afraid to be a mother up till that point, in case her child died, because it happened twice to her that she nearly choked to death on a sweet. And because I didn't know any of this, but releasing the tongue was difficult at first for her. And then she told me this story and said that had released that fear, and she was no longer afraid to become a mother. And that's huge.
That is huge.
That's huge.
Huge.
And that's bigger than me. That's much bigger than me. I have certain skills, but to me, that there's a bigger flow through me of something happening. You know that yourself, Jen, when you're working with people, it's bigger than we are when healing takes place.
I'm just the conduit.
We're the channel, and it's bigger than us.
I don't know why this has happened. It's magic.
Yes. And it's the same in workshops as well, where I can see people who were very tight in their bodies suddenly release. Sound is free, and then maybe somebody has told me that they had a very dramatic birth experience, a difficult birth, but they've released something of that through releasing and breathing deep into the body, and that's very profound as well. But I don't need to know unless people choose to share something with me, and in a workshop setting it's not usually appropriate. So that's more usually in one-to-one if somebody does want to. But sometimes I just ask a question in one-to-one: Was there something happening to you at that time that you experienced voice loss? Or just asking a question and saying, you can think about that. You don't have to tell me, but just making a connection between what was happening in your life at the time you lost your voice, and somebody saying, yes, there was a lot of really difficult stuff going on at that time. So yes,
Yeah, I mean, I like to try and work out the logical sense of how these things are happening, because there's a lot of conversation in the bodywork world just now about fascia and how fascia stores trauma, and people then going, oh, I need a fascia release because I need to release all this trauma from my body. And I'm thinking, but how does this work? Like, what are the logical steps for this? And for me, what I think is, when you experience a traumatic event, you get a release of hormones, and depending on how you physiologically responded to that, if you've gone tight, that's then going to stop the lymphatic flow. It's going to stop that emotion from being able to move through you. So the pattern that you then hold yourself in is more where what's trapping that emotion from moving through. And then when I'm just thinking, when you come to singing, because there's the posture, because there's this opening, there's the breath, there's the creating of expansiveness, it's then freeing up all those hormones that have been trapped in the body
without even knowing what you're releasing. You might just feel better and better and better in your daily life, and not know why, and just think, well, singing is doing this to help me. So yes,
it's magical.
It is.
But I think the body is magical. Being a human being is magical.
It's wondrous, isn't it?
I'm just always in awe.
So am I.
And even when I understand the sciencey bit, and I see it in action, I'm still like, wow.
And you understand the science side more than I do. But I have practical tools that work. And I have a knowledge to a certain extent of, like when you were talking about what's going on behind the lymphatic area, behind the diaphragm. I didn't think of that. I didn't know that. So that's new to me. And it's wonderful to hear about that, and to actually think, yes, that is what's going on, and that's what's helping as well.
Yeah. And then so much of that detoxification process, the exhaling breath is part of that. So if you've got dysfunctional breathing and you're never properly breathing in or properly breathing out, then your lungs get stagnant gunk in it that need to be cleared. So when you start, then it's going to just help.
And that's where singing comes in. That's what makes a big difference, because you can gradually allow people to sing a short phrase or two short phrases and then a longer phrase. And that's how I would begin, just to encourage them to use the muscles to support the breath. So it's knowing which muscles are supporting the out breath, because we sing and speak on the out breath, and when we're breathing in, all we're doing is breathing in. And we speak and sing on the out breath. So the exhalation is when we are using those supporting muscles as well to support the breath. With muscular support.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is.
I could just sit and say it's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing all night, and I'd still be amazed.
Well, you could try it just now. You could sing with me. You could sing with me. Have copycat without actually having to do anything. You can cut this bit out if you want to later.
Now I was telling my mum that you were coming. She went, is she going to teach you to sing? And I went, nobody can teach me to sing. Don't be ridiculous, women.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
I feel myself going red already. You want to sing?
Yeah, just two notes.
Okay.
So don't even clear your throat. You're not even going to think about it. You're going to bypass your logic, bypass your brain. And it doesn't even matter if you sing the same two notes as me. Okay, so none of this matters.
Okay.
It's just you and me.
Okay. I'll pretend that camera's not there. Let me turn round.
Well, the camera will just be picking us up a different view. So just relax your feet on the floor. That's it.
I can feel myself getting.
So let's just breathe. So let's just use up the air in your lungs first. Let the lower abdomen move freely inwards gently on the out breath. Placing your hands on your lower abs, let your belly drop down and breathe out. Drop, pause, breathe in. Lovely yawning feeling as you breathe in. Let your mouth relax and your tongue relax behind there. That's it. It's a big muscle, so it just needs to rest. And then drop down again. Take a lovely breath in. Don't even think about breathing. We do it all the time. So just drop down, breathe in, and breathe out. Can you say drop the jaw a wee bit. That's it. That's it.
Oh, that was more relaxed.
That's it. More
You
relaxed
tell the
at the
difference
jaw.
between the
Exactly. So let the jaw fall, let it hang open. So let's do a wee exercise to release the jaw,
Okay.
which is a very common place. So we're going to cup the fingers with the thumbs under your jaw, under the lower part of the jaw, and the fingers very gently cupped round. And you're just going to keep that feeling of release around the fingers so they're barely touching. I'll just show you first. So you breathe in through your nose gently and slowly. I'll just show you first. And as you breathe out, let the face fall and press gently like this. Let your face fall completely and press. Let the jaw fall some more. Press gently. Move the fingers down a little. Close the mouth very gently, breathing in through your nose. Tongue relaxed behind your bottom teeth. Breathing out, let the face fall. Let it fall fully. Let your jaw fall. Press gently. Bring the fingers down a little, breathing in through your nose. Tongue relaxed behind the bottom teeth. Breathing out, press gently, face falls. Let the jaw fall more. Last time, the fingers just come to the thumbs roughly under your chin. And breathing in gently, fingers barely touching, mouth relaxed. Breathing in through your nose. Breathing out gently, face falls, gentle press. So me, so me, go.
so me, so me.
Good, well done. And then we do so me, so me.
So me, so me.
Na 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 na.
Na 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 na.
So me la so me.
So me la so me.
Well done. You've just sung. Well done. Well done.
That's my very first ever singing lesson.
Well done. Well done.
At nearly 47 years old.
Fantastic. Well, it's the very beginnings, the very, very beginnings. So again, it's just about ease, relaxing the brain, relaxing the jaw and the tongue.
Trying to get that to quieten, like stop thinking about what you're doing and just follow the instructions.
That's it. So you just do copycat. So we just make sounds. So we can just make sounds with your feet on the floor, your feet a bit further apart. So you just kind of copy my sounds, which are not singing sounds, they're just sounds. Mm. 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 La la la.
La la la.
Ooh la 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 la.
Ooh la 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 la.
So we mix vowels and consonants. You did that really well because your tongue was doing the work there and not the jaw. And that's the difference that we make, so that the right parts are doing the right work.
Yeah.
So for example, we want the jaw, the tongue, and the soft palate, which is at the back of the roof of your mouth, to work separately and independently, so that one's not doing the job of the other and holding tension.
Yeah.
So we're releasing in all those areas, or opening and stretching one and releasing the other.
Yeah.
So that's what you just did.
That's amazing.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So if anybody would like to get a singing lesson from Louise or find out more about her workshops, where is the best place to find you?
Well, I have a website, which is a bit long, Louise McDonald contralto.com. I'm on Facebook as well, Golden Key Voices Glasgow. So it's facebook.com/Golden Key Voices Glasgow.
Yeah.
And I'm quite new to social media, Jen. So the workshops are on Eventbrite as well, and you'll find them because it's a repeated event. So Eventbrite, you'll find it under the Glasgow workshops are called Find Your Voice. Yeah. And the Edinburgh workshops are Breathe Well, Sing Well, Live Well. And you'll see the same photo of a group of women standing in the Glasgow venue smiling.
Fabulous. Well, I'll put all those links into the show notes
Thank
for the podcast.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much for joining.
Well done. Well done.
So if you know somebody who has lost their voice and needs to find their voice again, please do make sure that you share this podcast, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is you do on whichever platform it is that you are watching or listening to this on. And I'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Perfect.
Thank you so much.